Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! Before I start, I would like to talk about something personal. I originally had two dogs, Poker and Pokey, but Poker had to be in my father's care as it started being aggressive towards Pokey. I visit it almost every day and it seems like it's doing fine. I will try to get it some therapy or else Poker will not be able to return. Anyways, let me start the story. The cast. Entitled Mother, Entitled Kid, me, Police Officer 1 and 2, and Pokey, the master escape artist who broke out of his kennel yesterday. So as usual, Pokey is being a good boy and he seemed a little sad that Poker had left. So I decided to play fetch with him in the park near my house. It seemed like he was having a really good time, and I gave him a couple of belly rubs before we continued. Then Karen appeared.
Hi, that's a really friendly dog, isn't it?
Yep, he sure is.
Mommy, I want that dog. Yes, honey. Mommy will get it for you.
Actually, no. This dog is not for sale, nor is it free.
What? How dare you deny my son his dog? He's entitled to it.
Nope. Please leave me alone, or I will call the police. She, now looking smug, tells me,
I will do that for you.
A few minutes later, the police arrived, and the entitled mother immediately started whining at them.
Police! This man stole my dog.
Sir, may you please excuse me for a bit? Let me get my things. After a few minutes, I got the proof that Pokey is mine, and went back out. Here. These are the appropriate documents, I believe. The two awesome police officers checked the paperwork and gave it back to me.
Mommy, I want my dog now. Sweetie, you will get a dog.
No, he will not. We checked all these gentleman documents and made sure the dog is his. I then told the officer that I would like to press charges for attempted theft. The entitled mother grabbed her kid and ran like there was no tomorrow when she heard this. The police officer was of course able to catch her and he then handcuffed her so that we could go to the police station to start the charges procedures. Now we will call the mother of the story the entitled mother, as everybody does, and the kid Crazy Kid. So I'm going for a bike ride down the bike pass and I've been out for about an hour. So I decide to cut through a parking lot to get home, and as I do so, this car comes flying in, doing at least 100 kilometers, nearly hits me, and stops about 2 feet in front of some guy who looked like he was at least 90, causing this poor old man to drop what looks like a salad wrap, who then runs off. Turns out about 100 feet farther down the pass, and I would have noticed that where it passes under a bridge, a police car had actually hit itself under the bridge. So now they come out, pull up to this woman's car, and step out. This is important, so stay with me. The woman in the car was African American, and so was one of the police officers. They step out of the car and now she gets out. She then pulls the dumbest move possible.
What seems to be the problem, officer?
The nerve of this woman. The police officer, the African American one, we can call him Police Officer 1, stands in silence for a moment, seemingly bewildered. He then responds to her and calls her on her nonsense. You know, you just almost killed an old man, right? I don't remember all of the exact wordings, but it was more or less like this.
That man was on the other side of the parking lot.
Not only is she a liar, but she's dumb too. I am pretty sure the police officer would have mentioned me had I been visible from that angle. But I never saw the hidden car, so I'm assuming they hadn't seen her almost kill me. Anyways, she starts shouting at them.
So you are going to come up with a stupid lie so you can arrest me? Because I'm not white enough?
Keep in mind that both the entitled mother and the police officer, the officer talking to her, are African American, and she's accusing him of being racist. Before the police officer can say anything about this nonsense, the crazy kid steps out of the car. He looks like he's about 7, and I can see another small kid strapped into a car seat. A man with his head in his hands, presumably tired of the entitled mother's crap. The kid starts punching and kicking the police officer, to which he ignores for a few seconds before the crazy kid does the craziest thing. He actually makes an attempt to take the guy's gun. Thankfully, he is unaware that those holsters have locks to prevent such a thing, and doesn't even get close to the holster anyway. As the kid gets slightly pushed away without even being directly looked at, he doesn't even fall over. Actually, he doesn't even move all that much until he runs back to the car, and the entitled mother starts screaming,
Don't touch my kid!
The other police officer says, Ma'am, your kid just tried to grab my partner's gun.
You deserve it, you jerk!
As I'm watching from about 20 feet away, I hear the crazy kid start screaming again, and now he's hitting the other police officer with a toddler's car seat. The first police officer just grabs the car seat and tosses it. So the crazy kid starts punching and kicking again, and the entitled mother begins saying things like,
Get him!
and stuff like that. Can you please get control of your child?
Why would I tell him to leave a jerk like you alone?
Cue the nearby people who only now heard this. The first police officer picks up the kid and puts him in a car. And then about 10 people walk over, telling both police officers to leave the kid alone. To which the old guy, who is now back, starts shouting that they did nothing to the crazy kid. And then I started supporting the old guy. Let's call him the nice man, because they had in fact not hurt the crazy kid at all. Now the entitled mother is getting more riled up, if such a thing can be done.
Arrest me, you racist piece of crap!
She then gets in his car, shouting all the while, and now another police car and another, and they keep showing up until there are about 30 officers around this woman, probably because of the steadily growing mob of homeless people shouting at the police officers. I move to get a better look, and accidentally move in front of a man eating some chicken from the nearby chicken place, who can barely ask me to move over, because he can't stop laughing, to which I move over so he can see. The police seem to realize that this woman is about to start a riot, but let her go, to which she gets in her car, and before she does, the father steps out. We will call him the nice father, grabs the entitled mother's arm to get her attention, screams at her for a solid minute, during which nobody else says a word, except the chicken guy who's still laughing and recording. The nice father then goes back to the car but doesn't get in. The entitled mother gets in and starts to drive off, but the nice father shouts at her to wait. She stops, and he gets his takeout lunch out of the passenger seat, then just walks away. Now the mob dissipates, but about 3 police get in their cars and silently follow her so they can arrest her without a mob. So that was the strangest thing I ever saw in the history of my life. So about 8 years ago I was selling a used car, engine light was on, the AC needed recharging, and the fuel pump or something was out. So I go to my local trusted sales site. Ad goes up with a few pictures and the words, I work weird hours so I may not be able to accept a phone call. Please only text me. Yay to work in swings and midnights, right? It was actually college classes, but same thing for me. So a few days in I get a pretty standard text. Hi, I am Matt. Is your car still for sale? Matt isn't his real name, but you get the idea. So text back that it is. A few standard text about price. Why is the engine light on? Who did you get the quote from? I listed an approximate price on the repairs as quoted from my trusted mechanic, and whatnot go back and forth. The next day I got a text from him saying, Are you gonna take all your crap out of the car before you sell it to me, or is that my job? Unwarranted hostility? Really? What the hell, man? He's not the only interested party, so I text him back, Well, I'm not selling the car to you, so don't worry about it. I never said I would sell it to him. He never asked if he was the only interested party, and others were arranging test drives as well. And others were arranging test drives already. I didn't need him and his less than full price and partial commitment. And the crap he was complaining about is free textbooks and a bag I keep clothes in. 4 things. This guy didn't like to take no for an answer, and he started calling and texting about how my car's paint is peeling, True, but the pics and description said so. And how dare I ask so much, $1,000, for a piece of crap car? I started replying for a time, telling him he wasn't going to get the car, that I had other interested buyers, so he didn't need to worry about it and so on. Then things got personal. This I give you the option to link to Facebook so you could post at both places at the same time. So I had. I didn't have my privacy settings turned down, as it was still early into Facebook's absolute reign. And I actually trusted them at the time. Silly me. I know. I hadn't anticipated that he would be able to find my information through the website's post, and find my name, my location, pictures of my kid, my mother-in-law's opit, and so on. Surprise me, he did. He starts to text me about how I should be ashamed of myself for saying no to him, a muscular dude and me being a quite round female. He included a picture in one text, and he wasn't the only muscular built man he claimed to be. He asked me if I even knew everything about cars or if I made the post while on my period, so I didn't know what I was talking about. He texted that I should be lucky I was already married, or else he would come to my house and get me for saying no to someone like him. He got close but didn't have an address, and the way my address pulls up on GPS, he never would find my apartment, thankfully. Small side info. Since I was in college at the time and needed a more flexible schedule, I worked as a school crossing guard. Every 2 weeks or so we'd go in to sign our time cards in order to get paid. This crossing guard gig was a hire through my local PD, and not all crossing guard gigs are the same, but this one was. During one of these visits into the office, I was using my phone while I was waiting for my boss to get to me. My name being low in the alphabet, I hadn't yet plugged the dude as it hadn't been long since this started, and I was hoping it would fizzle on its own. I did not check my phone in class, choosing to turn it off to avoid ADHDing on it the entire day, and I was often flooded with several hours of text all at once. What I saw on my phone drove me over the cliff. He started texting about pictures I had posted on Facebook about my 8 or 7-year-old son. He had just majorly crossed the line. The cleanest version of his text included things like, "Your kid is just as ugly as you are. I hope you don't plan on him leaving home to get a wife anytime soon," and how a smudge of dirt on his face from a day at the zoo looked like I beat him. "I didn't sell you a car and you're taking out your rage by threatening to assault me and accusing me of beating my own kid? Oh heck no." Apparently I was loud when I said that, because my boss stepped right over to me next and asked what was wrong. Great person. 10 out of 10. I told her that I was getting these abusive texts from a random guy that tried to buy my car. I told her that I was about to erase the texts and block him, but she's like, "No, wait, don't do that. Let me see your phone." So happy I didn't delete them, because this next part still makes my heart sore. I offer and she takes my phone, reading all the sick and vile things he texted me. She tells me to wait until she's cleared the lobby of the other crossing guards, so I do. She then tells me to follow her behind the security doors at the PD station. Still having my phone. I don't know what's happening, but I liked and trusted her, so I do. I follow her back to her office where she works on her computer. Referring to my phone on occasion, she asks if all I have is a phone number or if I got his name too. I tell her I only got a first name. I scroll to the text where he introduced himself. A semi-uncomfortable amount of time later, she hands back my phone. Something to mention, my boss isn't just administrative. I didn't know it at the time, but she's a full-on lieutenant in a local PD. She came up the ranks from patrol, moving to a position where she exclusively investigated child/elder/disabled abuse complaints before moving into her current desk position. Needless to say, she didn't take people threatening harm to kids lightly. Because I hadn't plugged the number, I still had the text messages with the dude's name, and she had used it to cross-search him and the phone number. Long story short, she knew exactly who he was. She says not to worry, but don't delete or respond to his texts anymore. She had it. If I got it worse, I should call her or 911 as appropriate right away. Unconcerned and happy she had the situation in hand, I left and went to class. When I'm back to the office to sign my next time card 2 weeks later, I had several unread texts from the guy. I had filtered them so I didn't see them pop up and hadn't read them. I had sold the car for full asking price and all but forgotten the entire situation. My boss tells me to wait for her again as she has something else for me to sign. And I again return to her office. She briefly explains what she had for me. What an actionable complaint that she needed me to sign from my issue 2 weeks ago. I remember everything all over again. She must see my face because she tells me not to worry and that she can tell me what's going on more after I actually sign the form. So I do. And dear Reddit, this is the best situation anyone could have asked for. The phone number tied to many people as the provider was known for cheap cell service for those that were desperate for a way to contact people /services/employment. But with the name Matt, again fake name, she was able to find out who was missing with me. She then got a driver's license, which led to an address, which led to a police report for possible domestic violence. Fall down the rabbit hole some more and you find out that this dude had 5 kids by 4 women, and he was in arrears on his child support to them all. Hadn't been paying for 10 plus years and it was in a neighborhood of 30 to 50k, if memory serves. But he somehow just 2 weeks ago requested a title transfer for a new to him, quite fancy old car. I don't remember the kind but think high-end car show and a massive insurance premiums. Being so far in arrears meant that my boss was able to place a seizure order on the car so it could be sold to pay back the child support. One of the baby mamas lives in a state where fleeing child support meant you could have a warrant issued for your arrest. When she called the interested parties in that state to see if they wanted her to execute the arrest warrant, they said yes, with much haste. That was a funny turn of phrase, so I always remember that. One conversation later, my boss was able to determine that he was using the brother's social security number on his employment forms to avoid child support garnishments. This is all sorts of illegal. So she notified the guy's HR department so it could be corrected. They informed her he would be fired for fraudulently submitting false documents. She then told me that about 4 days ago, she had executed the warrant on the dude for felony child abandonment, and that the state he was to be held for was already en route to pick him up. It carried an 8 to 12 year sentence, and he still had to pay his back child support. I could have dealt with a comment, I could have dealt with a not taking no for an answer, even dealt with a cyber stalking a little. But when your twisted mind okays you to bring my kid into the picture, you have crossed the line. If you would have stopped at no, you wouldn't be in jail right now. Edit. My boss really was the best. I cried when I left that job. She retired a few years back and I sent her a huge cake. She remembered me and called me to thank me. She was fantastic and never gave me a reason to doubt her support. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.